David Gilmour was never the kind of musician who demanded attention. He didn't compete for the spotlight or rely on excess to make his presence known. In a genre often defined by volume, speed, and bravado, Gilmour chose restraint. His power came from space, patience, and emotional clarity. Each note he played felt deliberate, as if silence itself were part of the music. Rather than dazzling audiences with technical excess, he invited them inward, asking them to feel rather than react. This approach made his work timeless. The solo in Comfortably Numb is not remembered because it is complex, but because it is honest. It speaks directly to the listener's inner world. Gilmour's influence lies in this quiet confidence, proof that music does not need to shout to be unforgettable. His artistry reminds us that depth, when handled with care, can resonate louder than spectacle ever could. Growing up in the space between words, David Gilmour was born on March 6, 1946, in Cambridge, England, a city shaped by intellect and tradition. His father was a university lecturer and scientist, his mother a journalist, and later a teacher of film. Knowledge surrounded him, yet emotional expression was subtle and restrained. The household valued thought over feeling, discussion over affection. Nothing was overtly wrong, but something was missing. Young David learned early to observe, rather than speak, to listen more than respond. This environment nurtured a rich inner life. He became comfortable with solitude, with long stretches of quiet reflection. While other children sought attention, David learned to disappear into his thoughts. That quiet became formative. It taught him patience, sensitivity, and the ability to sit with unspoken emotion. These traits would later define his music, where feeling is never forced, only revealed gently, one note at a time. Discovering music as a private language. At school, Gilmour blended into the background. He wasn't rebellious or academically driven, he simply existed slightly apart. Social hierarchies and competition held little appeal. What drew him in was sound. When his mother gave him a guitar, it became more than an instrument. It became a voice. With no formal lessons, he taught himself by listening closely, repeating what he heard on the radio, and experimenting alone for hours. Those solitary sessions were deeply personal. Music allowed him to express what he couldn't articulate out loud. Blues records, early rock and roll, and folk melodies shaped his instincts, teaching him that simplicity could carry immense emotional weight. He wasn't chasing speed or complexity. He was chasing feeling. In that private space, David Gilmour learned a lesson that stayed with him for life. The most powerful communication doesn't explain. It lets the listener discover. Syd Barrett and the turning point. Gilmour's friendship with Syd Barrett was a defining chapter in his life. They met through shared artistic circles and bonded over music, ideas, and long improvisational sessions. Barrett was magnetic, imaginative, and unpredictable, while Gilmour was grounded, thoughtful, and disciplined. Their differences created a powerful creative balance. As Pink Floyd began to take shape, Barrett's vision drove the band forward, but his increasing instability soon placed everything at risk. When Gilmour was invited to join the group, it wasn't an act of ambition, it was an act of support. He stepped in quietly, initially to help cover live performances. When Barrett eventually left, Gilmour inherited more than a role. He inherited emotional responsibility. He never tried to replace his friend. Instead, he preserved the spirit of what had been while guiding the band towards something sustainable. That quiet loyalty would echo through his music for decades, shaping a sound without forcing it. The early years after Barrett's departure were uncertain. Pink Floyd experimented constantly, searching for identity. Albums like A Saucer Full of Secrets, Umaguma, and Medal reflected a band in motion rather than conclusion. Gilmour's guitar became an anchor during this period. His playing introduced clarity and emotional focus, especially on expansive tracks like Echoes. Rather than dominating the music, he shaped it from within. He understood when to lead and when to step back. These years taught him patience, allowing ideas to evolve organically rather than rushing toward results. Critics were unsure what Pink Floyd had become, but Gilmour remained unconcerned with labels or expectations. He trusted the process. Slowly, a signature sound emerged, atmospheric, reflective, emotionally immersive. It wasn't loud or aggressive. It was expansive and human. This foundation set the stage for everything that followed. Emotional precision on a global scale. When The Dark Side of the Moon was released in 1973, it didn't arrive as a sudden explosion. It unfolded. Gilmour's guitar became the emotional thread connecting the album's abstract themes to the listener's inner life. His solos weren't displays of technique. They were moments of connection. Notes were allowed to breathe, to linger, to ache. The record's success was unprecedented, yet Gilmour remained unchanged in demeanor. Fame did not alter his approach. He continued to serve the music rather than himself. His playing demonstrated that restraint could be more impactful than excess. Each phrase felt intentional, shaped by silence as much as sound. Millions connected to the album not because it was complex, but because it felt honest. Gilmour had found his role, not as a frontman or provocateur, but as a translator of emotion, turning abstract ideas into shared human experience. Grief, memory, and musical compassion. Wish You Were Here marked a deeply personal chapter for Gilmour. The album carried an undercurrent of loss, shaped by Syd Barrett's absence and the cost of fame itself. Shine on You. Crazy Diamond stands as one of the most emotionally generous tributes in rock history. Gilmour's guitar does not dramatize grief, it honors it. The melodies unfold slowly, filled with longing and tenderness. There is no anger, only remembrance. This approach defined his artistry, acknowledging pain without exploiting it. The album resonated because it spoke to universal experiences, missing someone, feeling disconnected, watching time change people beyond recognition. Gilmour allowed space for those feelings to exist without resolution. His guitar didn't provide answers, it offered companionship. In doing so, he showed that music can be a form of empathy, holding space for emotions we struggle to face alone. Comfortably Numb and the Art of Restraint. The Wall was a massive, concept-driven project, but its most enduring moment belongs to Gilmour's guitar. The solo in Comfortably Numb is often called one of the greatest ever recorded, yet its brilliance lies in how little it tries to impress. Each note feels inevitable, placed exactly where it belongs. The solo doesn't rush. It rises gradually, mirroring emotional release. Gilmour understood that the song needed vulnerability, not volume. His playing cuts through the narrative and speaks directly to the listener's emotional core. It is a moment of clarity within a dense conceptual work. Even amid creative tension within the band, Gilmour remained focused on serving the song. That discipline is what makes the solo timeless. It proves that technical ability matters far less than emotional intention. The result is music that feels personal, even decades later. Leadership without noise. After Roger Waters left Pink Floyd, many assumed the band would fade quietly. Instead, Gilmour stepped forward, not with declarations, but with responsibility. He guided the band through a new era with calm assurance, allowing the music to speak for itself. Albums like A Momentary Lapse of Reason and The Division Bell reflected reflection rather than confrontation. Songs such as High Hopes carry a sense of looking back without bitterness, acknowledging change without regret. Gilmour's leadership style mirrored his playing, measured, respectful, emotionally grounded. He wasn't interested in winning arguments or rewriting history. He focused on continuity and integrity. Under his guidance, Pink Floyd remained a living entity rather than a memory. This period revealed Gilmour's quiet strength, the ability to lead without ego, to move forward without erasing the past, and to honor collaboration even after fracture. A life aligned with the music. Outside the spotlight, David Gilmour lives much as he plays, thoughtfully and without excess. His personal life remains private, centered on family, long-term relationships, and creative honesty. His marriage to Polly Sampson became both a personal and artistic partnership, enriching his later work with lyrical depth and emotional clarity. In his solo albums, Gilmour reflects on aging, memory, and connection with gentle realism. He has also used his success responsibly, supporting charitable causes without turning generosity into performance. His legacy is not built on noise, controversy, or constant reinvention. It rests on consistency between who he is and what he creates. Gilmour's story reminds us that subtlety is not weakness, that patience can shape greatness, and that emotional truth, expressed quietly, can endure longer than any moment of spectacle. His music doesn't demand attention. It earns it